Welcome to Bungalows for Bachelors. We are going to finish our lateral design on this video. The last thing we have left over is to do the tall wall analysis of this front wall here. Now, you're going to have to find some way of drawing either on scaled graph paper, using AutoCAD if you've got it. You got to find some way of drawing scaled lines. All right, because that's how we're going to really understand what we're doing with this wall. So, if we haven't already in the gravity design, we want to know the stud spacing of this guy so that we've got the minimum, like, what size of studs and what spacing, so we know where our general layout's going to go. And then we are going to analyze from there. Okay, so here's basically how this works. I'm going to do this roughly because I don't have a scaled way of doing this right here. The first thing I'm going to do is I want to draw the bottom plate. Okay, the bottom plate's going to be something like that. That's the bottom plate of the wall. Next thing I want to do is I want to know where the top plate is. Sorry, that's the top plate. It's going to be something like that. There's, of course, split in the middle. All right, once I have those, I'm going to find my openings in the wall. Those are the next most important. So I'm going to draw exactly where this door opening is going to be and how big it is. Okay, I know that it is 1 inch left from its dimensioned location, and it's a 3-foot wide door, 6'8" tall. So I'm going to draw an opening that is 2 inches wider than that and 2.5 inches taller than that. Okay, so wherever that may be, I'm going to go to the foundation. And of course, that height opening is from the concrete, not from the bottom of the sill. That was a bad line. I'm going to draw up my finger instead. That's slightly better. Okay, so I'm going to have my door opening. So, and then I'm going to got 2 windows. All right, so I got a 3-foot spacing and a 5-foot spacing. And these are both 3050 windows as standard on the plan. So somewhere over here, I've got 2 windows that are same height as the door off the ground. Okay, so I've got those. So what I'm going to add here, the first thing I'm going to add is I know I have a header and jack studs holding my header for my opening. And I'm going to do that for these windows as well, right? I'm going to draw better on the door. And then I'm going to draw the king studs. I'm going to draw 1 king stud. I'm going to draw another king stud. Okay. Now, something that happens when we're drawing tall walls is we want to reduce the amount of wood in the wall if we can, but we don't want to reduce it too much. I happen to remember that I think the spacing of the studs was 2x6s at 24 inches on center. So what I'm going to think about in terms of my king studs are, general rule, the number of king studs I am displacing and cutting out with my header or opening. I want at least that number of king studs on the outside of my door, and it needs to be the same on both sides. So this door is 3 feet wide, which means if there's a standard stud layout of, let's say that was a standard stud, then somewhere over, let's see, here, and then like here or so, right? So my standard stud layout is going to displace 1 stud. So there was 1 stud that would have been going from the top to the bottom, but I don't have it anymore because I cut it, which means I need to account for that strength somewhere else. So I could either add a stud outside my king stud and have a double king stud on both sides, which would be some extra wood, or I can reduce the amount of wood and I can continue. Here's how this works. I can continue my jack stud on the inside of that king stud, but that doesn't help me because it's still broken. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue the continuity between them with a metal strap. Okay, so I'm going to take a metal strap on both sides of the header, outside and inside the house, outside and inside the wall. Okay, I'm going to take a strap and strap it across that header. All right, and that's going to basically treat that as if it was still a continuous stud. It wasn't broken there. So now I've got my stud displacement thing taken care of. I still have enough studs to just keep this wall stiff. So I'm good there. All right, so I'm going to do that for all my openings. And once I have the openings taken care of, I'm going to check the plan. I've got a beam here landing in the center. So I happen to know I'm going to actually land a beam up here somewhere. So I'm going to get that cross section of the beam drawn in. And below the beam, I have full studs. I'm going to go to my gravity plan, find out how many studs I had in here, draw my studs in. Okay. And then once I've got that in, I'm effectively just going to draw on my stud pattern. Start from one side and get my typical stud pattern, whatever it may be, right? Get my cripple studs in my windows, all that stuff, until I have a full drawn tall wall. All right, that's how that works. We're going to draw this out just to plan ahead, get an idea of what we should do to make this a good, nice tall wall. All right, that's how we draw the tall walls.